Welcome to a new day on Focus on Liberia, where we delve into transformative dialogues about social justice and the voices leading the charge for social reforms. So, here at a new day, we explore the intersections of politics, culture, and tradition with the leaders who are reshaping our world for the better. Uh, a new day focuses on critical dialogues around social justice with emphasis on gender justice to influence policies and contribute to societal shifts. So we facilitate conversations that challenge our worldviews and lead to the evolution of a new consciousness of ourselves, our relations to each other, and the world in which we live. Today, we have with us Cheryl Rhodes Alexander, the founder of Lyfe Design Coaching. And we're going to be talking about reclaiming authenticity, stories of healing, identity, and purpose. Cheryl is a life coach, so she's going to be telling us how she's been helping um, people find themselves, reclaim themselves with a wealth of knowledge and experience in this area. Some of the things we're going to be talking about, her personal background, her upbringing, her identity, things that her early influences that led to her walking this journey with others who are trying to reclaim themselves. So thank you, Cheryl, for joining us today on a new day. It's a pleasure to have you.
Priscilla, thank you so much for having me and the opportunity to share a little bit about my experience and my journey.
Okay. So we're just going to, because you say, I know your schedule is, we already talked off the screen, so behind the scenes, so you already told me how things are right now, but thank you for being gracious of the time you're going to be spending with us. So I'm just going to go in and just jump in and just ask you, like, tell us, walk us through your journey from your corporate beginnings to launching Life Design, because I went on your website and I saw that you were in the corporate world. You were even in HR. So can you walk us through your journey from your corporate beginnings to launching Life Design?
Yes. So I began my career in human resources over 30 years ago. I spent 32 years in human resources, working my way through the ranks. So I started as an administrative assistant and ended my career as a chief human resources officer, doing HR operations, managing a department, as well as overseeing and managing risk management for a public utility in San Francisco Bay Area. And I did that career, that particular agency I worked for. I worked there for 15 years, but it was in the latter 5 or so years of my career there where I started to experience a shift and noticing that I wasn't fulfilled in what I was doing. I liked the people I worked with. I did not like what I was doing any longer. And the environment had changed.
Oh,
And really didn't know what that was about or what it was going to lead to. I had previously had conversations with my husband about when I retire, I want to do something different, but I didn't know what that was. I thought I would do HR consulting type of work. And that's where my mindset was. But the reality is, God had something else planned for me. And it was in 2019, prior to the global pandemic in 2020 and 2021 and 22, that I experienced a shift and I had an actual encounter with the Holy Spirit of God one day on my way to work, driving through the gate into the facility. I
mm.
just broke out in tears. Nothing had happened, no apparent reason, nothing specific happened. but I was in tears and I'm like, why? I don't understand this. And I knew at that moment I didn't want to be there any longer. Something was happening, but I didn't know the timing or when things would happen. To make the story short, that was the beginning of my transition into something different. But I didn't know that at the time.
Wow.
I subsequently was off on a medical leave for 5 months. And it was during that 5 month respite period that I had an actual encounter with God. I actually had what I will call a Samuel moment where I was immobile, so I could move. And I heard God audibly call me. And he gave me just a download of what it is I would be doing in my next chapter. And that specifically was my prayer ministry, Faith Mentors Ministries. And from that, creating prayer kits, ways for individuals to connect with and build their relationship with God so that they would have a connection. And I equate the prayer kits that I create very much to a first aid kit. You have a first aid kit with band-aids and antiseptics and gauze and different things in the event you have an injury. It's not that if you will have it, but when you have it, you have something there that you can place upon it to help with the healing.
Okay.
The prayer kits are very much the same thing. You have the tools in that kit: a Bible, a journal, a prayer petition card. You have scripture and you have praise and worship music that will help you usher in and set the atmosphere for you to receive the Holy Spirit in that space where you are, and you can begin to start your relationship with God and begin to heal those parts of your life where you may have experienced brokenness, trauma, pain, whatever the situation may have been. That is part of it. From that, life design coaching came about. I myself, during the pandemic, had the pleasure of attending virtual retreats with a world known, a global life coach. And from that experience, as I started growing and started doing my own healing, it was like, okay. And it just, again, the Holy Spirit is all God led, and life design came into being, and working with women and helping other women who are similar to me in terms of my career experience, in terms of my culture and lived experiences, who would like to have someone come alongside them and help them walk through the process of healing and reclaiming who they are and whose they are. And
Oh,
so that's how life design coaching came about, through my own transformation and journey with the Holy Spirit.
yeah. That's quite a journey. Thank you, thank you. And your defining moment, when you knew you were being called to something deeper, is really fascinating. Like having that, not like hearing of physical voice saying Cheryl, I call, sometimes I remember there was a specific experience that I had. I needed direction, and I kept doing that, and my friend was like, "You're not going to hear a physical voice." It's just amazing to hear you share how your moment was really defined. I mean, even though you knew by the way you started feeling like I like the people, but you just didn't feel the vibe about the work or the environment you're working in anymore until you had that experience. And then you took that period of time of silence when you were recovering or sabbatical to be able to really get some clarity and begin small. That is amazing.
And if I can just add, everybody's experience and how God speaks to everyone is different. So I heard an audible voice in that particular situation, but I've had other times where God has spoken to me, but it hasn't been audible, but I know when he is speaking. And it's only because of my continuing growth and staying in presence with him, talking with him, getting to know him, his attributes and who he is, that I'm able to discern how he speaks to me. So I just want folks to understand he's going to talk to every individual differently based on how you relate and interact with him.
Yeah.
Just know that. But that was just one way in which he spoke to me at that particular moment. But
Um,
in other times, it has not been audible conversations or voices that I've heard, but he has spoken to me in ways in what I may feel, a sensation or something, a scent, different things, a sound that lets me know that's God speaking to me. And then it's in those moments that I still myself so that I can hear what is it that you are saying to me? What is the message that you want me to receive? Or what is it you want me to do, the instruction, so that I can hear it? So I have to learn how to, and individuals learn how to quiet the noise around them so they can truly hear what God is speaking to them specifically.
okay. All right. So yeah, I went through your website, and I'm going to encourage the audience. I'll share the link for your website and encourage people visit Cheryl's website. It's really is interesting and fascinating in some way how our stories resonate, and that's what I was so interested to have you on. You speak openly about imposter syndrome. How did you learn to overcome it, and how do you support others through it?
Well, I didn't know it was imposter syndrome until I come out of that environment. But
Okay.
the reality is, as I shared in my story on my website, oftentimes I was either the first, the one of only, or the only woman, and more importantly, woman of color in
Mm,
environments where we were not even expected to be in, or in places to be in. And for so long, I myself thought that once I got into the corporate space that I had arrived and I was making a certain level of compensation and had a certain level of influence, that I was successful. I had arrived. Again, looking at the titles and the roles, but the reality is I still hadn't arrived. And I still wasn't fulfilled, for the most part, if you will. I thought that's what I wanted, but the reality is that wasn't what I wanted, or what was the path for me to be on. And so after I transitioned out of my career, retired, and started doing my own healing work, because I realized at one point that I really had a form of PTSD. Had been, there was some trauma that
mhm,
I had experienced throughout my career, but I dismissed it.
mhm.
I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't always have individuals who looked like me or who had experiences that I could go to talk to about, okay, so this is going on here, this is going on here. How do I navigate that
Mhm.
terrain, if you will? And it was only through my own healing and finding individuals that I could really open up to about what I had experienced that I realized, okay, I was wearing this mask. I put on the makeup and put on the smile and went in, and okay, I'm doing all these things, but I didn't have the power or the authority in a lot of times to
Yeah.
really bring about the change that was really beneficial, not just to me, but to those that I was supporting in terms of not only managers, but employees. And that was a hard, process to navigate and walk through. And I didn't do it just through life coaching, but I also sought professional help because I really needed someone that had training and experience that could help me really process some of those painful points and those parts of my experience that I couldn't really fully understand or peel back the layers to see what was underlying there. And
Okay.
so it was a combination of life coaching as well as professional counseling, and more importantly, my spiritual counseling to help me navigate how to overcome that imposter syndrome. I am who I am. I'm proud to be where I am. I'm grateful for the experiences that I've had. And when I look back and reflect on my journey, I recognize and know and acknowledge that God was with me in those experiences. And I was placed in some of those places where I was within my career, not for my benefit, but to help others and to open doors for others. And for that, I'm truly grateful for the experiences. It wasn't always fun for me, um, but it helped others and it opened doors for others. And so from that, that's how I help others, is just through just helping them understand where they are,
Mm.
looking at the situation and what can we glean from that? What can we take from that? And how can we stay true to ourselves, grounded in, for me, it's my faith in Jesus Christ and belief in who he is and what he did for me, that I can share that and help others navigate some of those terrains as well. You,
Okay. I'm sorry. You
yeah.
assist. Okay. I was going to ask about forgiveness, but I will come back to it because forgiveness is a major theme in your story. I'll come
Oh,
back to,
yeah.
but you keep mentioning others. So I'm going to just piggyback on that or use that as a segue to say, um, the others you're talking about, maybe people of color, both male and female, and gender non-conforming, gender non-binary, but mainly it's your based on what I read about your work. And then the other time, the last time, recently, you spoke at an event which was all women. So sounds like your base is mainly women or your niche. So I want us to talk a little bit about this population, like the challenges or what many women feel kind of stuck or afraid to pivot. You had to do it, but I'm sure as you walk alongside women challenges they face on life transition in career, in relationship, in motherhood, and you provide tools and framework that you use in your coaching practice. So, how do you guide someone toward clarity and confidence? I know I went all over the place, but did you get my
Oh,
question?
no. So if I understand, your question is, how do I help clients find clarity and confidence in
Especially when it comes to life transition,
transitions?
because
So,
you in the corporate world, you had to transition to doing what you do now.
for me, the foundation,
Mhm.
it all starts with knowing your identity. And for me and the women that seek to work with me, understand that for me, my foundation is grounded in who I am by my divine creator, Jesus, by the Lord. And so once I know and understanding who he is, his identity, knowing that I'm created in him, his image, know that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, that once I begin to understand who I am and who I represent, then that's where you gain a level of clarity, and it doesn't come all at once, and it doesn't come and then it stops. It's ongoing. So I'm continuing to grow in my confidence. I'm continuing to grow in the clarity of who I am and what God has spoken about me and what he desires for me and the relationship I have with them. So for me and the clients that I work with, it all starts with foundation work in going back to the beginning. So one of the things I do in part of my coaching practice is helping clients, and I do primarily work with women, but I do work with men as well. But my niche, my passion is for women, primarily women of color who are professional women, who are in mid to senior level positions in their careers, who are in between the age of 45, 65 or so.
Okay.
But working with this population, one of the things I do with my clients is helping them to really get to the root of where in your life, at what point in time in your life did you first begin to doubt or question, or where did fear or doubt or those limiting beliefs you have about yourself, where did they first originate? So looking at what I have clients do is it's called life mapping. So taking your life and going from the time you were born to a certain age, maybe to today, whatever age you are, and looking at and plotting on a line, like a number line, and plotting those milestone experiences that formed and shaped how you see yourself, words that may have been spoken over you, experiences that you have had throughout your life, whether they are valley experiences or mountaintop experiences, but they're all part of that process that helps you identify who you are, so that then once you know that, then you can start to tap into what God says about you. And then that's where your confidence, that's where your clarity starts to come, is knowing who you are and whose you are.
Okay. I'm sure you have noticed that there are patterns, or if are there even, have you noticed common patterns among the people, your clients, the population you serve?
So a lot of the clients that I interact with, and even just individuals that I've done, maybe not even clients, individuals that I interact with in different capacities,
Yeah.
there's often some event that happened in childhood
So trauma.
and there are different forms of trauma.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I I see, or that seems to be recurring as a theme or a common um, situation, is there's some form of trauma. It can be in the form of abandonment. It
Mm,
could be the form of sexual trauma,
okay.
a lot of times for individuals. And it's in those moments, in those spaces, often where they might be stuck. And even though chronologically they are maturing, they're growing older, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, they're still in
Mm,
that moment because they didn't have the tools or the resources to process what was happening to them. And oftentimes, we as individuals, as humans, and this is part of the training I had as a trauma support specialist, is when we don't have the support to help us process what's happening to us, oftentimes we look to ourselves as, okay, maybe it's something about me. So we take that on. So then we develop and form these beliefs about, I'm not good enough. There's shame, there's guilt, there's fear, there's doubt. And there are other emotions and feelings that can come with that. And we haven't been properly trained or equipped with the tools on how to deal with that, to process that. And I just want to be clear with those that are listening, just so I am not a licensed clinical social worker or a therapist. I have formal training in that area, but that's not my focus. And so sometimes, and like in my case, I needed a professional therapist to help me unpack and process my own traumatic childhood sexual trauma experiences so that I could then begin my own healing. And that's something that I've learned how to do and to help others with that as well. Not just sexual trauma, but other forms of trauma and healing in their lives. And
Okay.
sometimes it's not even childhood, it could be in your adulthood too.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Cheryl, for what
Yeah.
you do. Yeah, you answered my question about how you help people break through. So some of the tools and skill is walking people through life mapping exercise and recommending therapy. That's what I heard from your response.
Yeah, and it's not always therapy, but I want to make sure people understand sometimes if you're in crisis or it stirs emotions that could potentially be harmful to you or to others, that's where professional support and services come into play.
Oh, okay.
And so there are some things I don't necessarily say you have to have a therapist for,
Mm,
but certain experiences will trigger a level that requires more professional type of treatment and or care.
okay. All right. So um now let's go to the issue of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a major theme in your story. And I heard you when I mentioned that. What does it mean to you today?
What does forgiveness mean to me today?
Yeah, now I'm assuming that it meant something else when you were transitioning or in.
So it has taken me almost it literally I've lived with unforgiveness for the majority of my life. I'm 60, but it wasn't until in my early 50s that I really began to forgive individuals who did not know how to care for me or love me the way I needed to be loved or cared for. The
Mm,
people that I had thought could care for me and protect me and take care of me.
mhm,
And not that they're bad people, they did the best they could with what they knew. Unfortunately, part of my healing and learning to forgive had to do with me also knowing that I had to learn to let go of some things too. I had to learn to forgive myself. Not everything that happened to me was the result of something I did. And circumstances were such in certain places and situations where things happened. And I held on to a lot of that. And I did not realize until probably within the last 6 years of my earthly experience that forgiveness wasn't for the other individual, it was for me. And it was in one of those experiences where I audibly heard the Lord tell me I needed to forgive the person that had sexually molested me as a child. And again, I carried that unforgiveness for the better part of my life.
mm,
And when the Lord said, I need you to forgive this person, I'm like, why? Do you know what they did to me? Do you know how it changed my life? Da, 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 da. I had all kind of excuses, justifications, rationalizations, and explanations to explain why I could not or why I would not forgive. But God said, you must forgive. And reading his word telling me that if I want God to forgive me, guess what? I got to be forgiving too. I can't ask God to forgive me of my sins because I'm flawed, I'm human, but yet not forgive someone else. And literally, I had a one of those actual moments where he audibly said, "You must forgive." And when I was at that moment where I was in that darkest place, that most broken moment in my valley experience,
Mm.
when I finally understood that if I want God to forgive me for the wrong that I've done, then I have to learn to forgive. It doesn't mean that what I'm forgiving what they did to me, I'm forgiving that person because they too are human, they too are flawed. And so when I audibly said, I forgive you for hurting me, for taking advantage of me, for whatever you did to me, I forgive you.
Mm.
Then there was a weight released. There was a burden. And then I felt this free because we don't recognize or realize that when we hold on to unforgiveness, it keeps us bound, it keeps us shackled, and we are not free to experience what it means to be a child of God and to have that freedom, that joy, that peace that comes. And so, in that moment when I forgave, Jesus said, that was for you. And I still didn't fully understand the impact of that until maybe 18 months later when that individual passed away. And I first thing that came to my mind when I got news that that individual had passed away, I said, I hope they had an opportunity to encounter and experience a relationship with Jesus. If I had not forgiven, that would not have been my first response. But because I learned and understood about forgiveness, I knew that that's why it was important for me to forgive them
Mm.
so that I could ensure that they had or hoped that they would have had a relationship or got to know Jesus and that they had been forgiven. Just as the criminals on the cross standing next to Jesus, the one asked for, will I see you in paradise? And Jesus said, yes, even though he knew he was a sinner, he still was forgiven and was assured that he would spend eternity in paradise with Jesus. And so that's the power of forgiveness, is that you want to see other people saved, freed as well, not just for yourself.
Thank you, Cheryl. So if you're just joining us, I shared the link to Cheryl's website. Please feel free to check it out. From the beginning, I probably skipped this part. Cheryl is a certified transformational life coach with a master's degree in career college student services counseling from St. Mary's College of California. Check out her website and read her story and check out the services she provides. She also has a bachelor's degree in industrial organizational psychology from San Francisco State University. She is also the creator of Basket of Faith. She mentioned that in her gift curation business. So Yeah, she's a leader in the community here. Recently, she presented, spoke at an event. Was it last month? Where it was an all-women event, Cheryl?
Yes, last month in June, a co facilitator and I hosted a live workshop for women of color, Black women,
Mm,
called It's Time to Exhale.
mm.
And the premise of that workshop was for Black women to be able to have a safe, sacred space where they could share and release what they hold on to, what no longer serves them, give them a place where they can be seen, where they can be heard, where they feel that they can exhale.
That brings me to this question. How important is representation and storytelling in your coaching and broader work?
It's it's foundational for women who are on the pathway to career success, whether it's in your community, in your church, in your professional career. We need to see others who have gone before us or who are still there with us, who can be a resource, who can be a source of encouragement, of hope to us. And it's so important to know that I'm not the only one,
Yeah.
or that I have to shoulder and carry the burden for everybody. I represent my entire tribe, my entire um, race and ethnicity. That's a heavy burden, and no one can carry that alone. And so, having other women that look like us, that have shared experiences, lived experiences, that's important for them to be able to say, okay, here's someone that I can reach out to
Mm,
that can understand and can relate to some of the challenges that I experience or that I may be facing. And they may have some resources or solutions that can help me navigate while I'm in that place.
mhm. Okay. So, what next for life design and your personal mission?
Well, to continue creating spaces for women to exhale. So, hoping to have more live events,
Okay.
not just here in the Phoenix area, but globally. We want to also be able to go around the world and provide similar environments for women. Also, continue to coach individual clients.
Mm,
I do some corporate HR consulting work, so I still tap into my HR background, and
mm,
then continuing to just share my gifting with others, that shares the good news of God, and helping others to see God through giving. And in the process of beginning the foundational work to write a book. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I have a couple of ideas. God has downloaded a couple of things, but I'm not sure what will come first, whether it's my story or it's going to be some devotional prayers. I'm not sure, but doing a couple of different things.
okay. All right. So, lastly, before we let you go, if you could please, if you could speak directly to someone listening right now who's struggling with self worth, imposter syndrome, or some of the issues you try to address in your coaching or that you experience, like feeling like being the only person, all of that, if you were speaking directly to me or to someone listening right now who's struggling with issues like that, childhood trauma or something, what would you say?
First, I want to say to you that I see you, but more importantly, God sees you, and you are not alone. That I would encourage you to just to seek peace in your life. And how you do that is let's Let's heal you. And the way we heal is we process what we've gone through. I know what it's like to be a child who feels that you don't have a voice to speak when someone is hurting you. You don't know what to say. You don't know if they're going to believe you. I
Hmm.
believe you. I see you. I hear you. I'm here for you. And I would love the opportunity to be able to come alongside you. I don't have all the answers, but I know somebody that does. And if I can, I would like to help you find that person, that relationship that will help you heal your heart wounds. Because once your heart is healed, then you are free. And once you are free, then you will have peace. And once you have peace, then you have joy that nobody can ever take from you.
Okay.
So I want you to experience peace, joy, and love abundantly because you deserve it. You are worthy. You were created fearfully and wonderfully, masterfully in the image of God. You are his masterpiece. And if I could, I would just say one of my favorite scriptures is Ephesians 2:10. And I had a t-shirt made that says, I was made on purpose for God's purpose. And I want to say that to whoever is listening. You were made on purpose for God's purpose. He has a purpose for your life. And I'm here to help you find what that purpose is. And I would love the opportunity to be able to help you walk into that purpose and to claim what you are to receive, what God has for you. And that I love you and I want you to be healed and I want you to be whole.
That's it. That's it. Audience, thank you for staying with us. Those who join us, you hear it. Did you hear it? I'm sure you heard it. Remember, on a new day, we say change begins with a conversation. So that's why we're having this conversation, the kind of conversations we have on a new day. So let's continue the dialogue, elevate our voices, and actively participate in shaping a world where social justice isn't only an aspiration, but a reality. Join us next time on a new day conversation as we continue to explore and advocate for social change and revisit our way of being and thinking. Let's make every day a new day for progress. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Today we have with us Cheryl Rose Alexander. She's a compassionate and visionary woman who is deeply committed to helping people. You heard it from her mouth herself. She said, I love you and I just want to walk alongside you and help you see what I've found and how how I continue to evolve and discover myself and that it is possible. With over 30 years of experience in human resources, she and with a rich educational background in counseling and psychology, she has expertise as a servant leader or mentor or resource connector, a speaker, or community volunteer to serve others. Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us on a new day. Thank you for being a change and for sharing your day with us.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to continuing to have conversations with you and others.
Sure. Thank you, viewers, for joining us as well. Well, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Remember, it's a new day, everyone. It's a new day. Goodbye.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah, 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 yeah. From Monday to Sunday. talk about home affairs.